This episode of Talk Raytown is brought to you by Gwen Mundorf, Attorneys at Law.
Welcome back to Talk Raytown. I'm Zac Sweets. I am still your host for another week, so thank you for tuning in. One thing that I'm really excited about is just really seeing all the viewership. And I know that you're a listener. I'm a listener. Our producer is a listener because, well, he has to do the producing. But I do want to give a special thank you to the Raytown School District for inviting us again to their home here at the administration office. And I think it really makes sense that while we're in the school district's building, that we also talk about some of the great things that the school district is up to. So today we have Ellie, the General Lilly. She is the Business Innovation and Creation Instructor at Southland CAPS at the Herndon Career Center. Thank you for joining Talk Raytown and joining us to really talk about how the business community and the chamber members and non-members, everybody should be a member of the Raytown Chamber, can help out this next generation of, entrepreneurs and folks out in the community. But before we get to that, the General, you mentioned that growing up, you got the nickname the General. Being the youngest in your family, yes. Please, we got to get into this.
Okay.
How did you get the General as a nickname?
So I am the youngest of 5 girls, no boys in our family. And I was bossy at a very young age. My oldest sister is 10 years older than me. And somehow I managed to kind of be in charge of some things. And so my family coined me the General very early on. One of the things that I would do at dinner time is take a little notepad and walk around to each family member. And, there's 7 of us, so it's a large family, and take down their order for dinner, right? Even though we all know that the order was pretty specific. If we're having meat and potatoes, then you're going to get meat and potatoes. But I felt like it was tailored to each person. So what are you going to have tonight? I'm going to write that down. What are you going to have to drink? And then I would take that pad and paper to my mom and say, Mom, Michelle would like, meat and potatoes and a glass of milk. So that kind of leads to, a lot of things in my life, I think, that organization and teaching and it just kind of fits. I don't really get called the General much anymore. We joke about it and talk about it, but
you're going to now with all the listeners
right?
on the podcast.
But in my work life, it helps a lot to be that type of a personality.
Yeah,
so.
When I was trying to just dig in, figure out who I was about to talk to, the pad and paper was something that I saw come up multiple times.
Yes.
And so for you, you've been a teacher.
Yes.
Before coming to this role, how does young, very spunky kid that wants to wrangle the whole family with that pad and paper? What did that jumping off point kind of lead you? How did that lead you to teaching?
Okay, so honestly, I'm fortunate because I know that throughout my life, the only thing that I wanted to do was be a teacher. I knew it from the beginning. I wanted to be around kids. I wanted to teach. The General piece really sort of fit into that. When I left high school and went to UMKC, I knew that I wanted to enroll in the education school. I remember telling my administrator at William Crispin High School, Go Bears, which is where I went. I remember telling him, Dr. Moan was his name, that I wanted to be an administrator. And I thought at first that I wanted to teach and then I wanted to be a principal. And that was in 1992. And there were not a lot of female principals at that time. I mean, there actually were. I actually had female principals in my life prior to that. But kids were not generally saying that they wanted to
be
a teacher and then go into admin. And so I remember him laughing at me, but then also saying, yeah, it fits. That sort of fits with you. Well, then, fast forward getting through college and getting my degree. I got my degree in secondary education from UMKC. They had a dual degree program at that time. And I got certified in history and secondary education 5 through 12. So I was going to go teach history and did that, loved it. I taught ancient world history for 19 years.
What was the ancient society civilization time period that you were most excited about teaching? And what was the one that you tried to skip, but you had to?
I loved ancient Greece and ancient Rome. That was fun for the kids because you could work in the Olympics and, there's so many antiquities and buildings and things like that you could look at. So that was really exciting. I probably, honestly, I did, and this is not a knock on religion. I did a world religions unit and it was very interesting and I loved it. But the kids got kind of bored with that. So it was hard to make that exciting and engaging.
Yeah. How do you make ancient world history engaging? And the reason why I'm asking these questions is because eventually we're going to talk about how do you make some of the program engaging for the students. So how did you make some of that content that, I'm a nerd. I like world history, but I can put myself to sleep sometimes reading some of those books or things.
Oh yeah, it can be a lot. So I tried to focus my attention on how communities and groups of people work together, live together. We talked a lot about art, education, aspects of the economy, and try to make it relevant to kids. Think about how you live today and the things that you do, and then we're gonna look at this group of people and see, how is this relevant? How did they do things? And they're bartering or they don't have a system of money yet, or once they do, things change. Once they got fire, things change. Things like that. So I tried to make it also project based, but how can we relate it to how community groups work together now and sort of focus on that aspect of it, of history. So, and after 19 years, you get creative. And I was a middle school teacher. So, middle school kids are funny in their own right, and they're kind of up for anything.
Yeah.
So we could do project work and role play
Maybe
and
not
things
too
like that.
Cool yet.
Yeah, they were still kind of in that spot where it was like, okay, this is still kind of fun. We kind of like our teacher, and it was interesting. So
after some time teaching history, ancient world history, perhaps maybe were you looking for another opportunity? Were you ready to take on another challenge? I think as you described it, when you did find this opportunity, you're like, I can do that.
Yes.
What about that time after teaching led you when you saw this, like, I can do that and maybe I want to make that change?
So my initial thought in making a change was I really want to make a larger impact on kids. I really wanted to do that in some fashion. And so, I had 160 kids a year in middle school because they roll through your class, 7 hours a day, and you might have 30 kids in an hour. So you are touching a lot of lives, but I just wanted to help kids more and be more of an influence in their life. And my good friend was working at the Herndon Career Center as the assistant director. And this position came up, this business innovation and creation instructor. And she said, hey, I want you to read this job description. I think this would be perfect for you. And I read it, and they actually knew that they needed a teacher in October, but they weren't going to hire until, the end of the year for the next school year. And kind of what had happened with the program was they had teachers from industry, so that had come from some aspect of business and working in the job and maybe just not really loving it, or certain circumstances happened, but also then COVID happened. Okay. And so it's really hard during COVID to build a program like this. So
and the program at this point in time is how old?
Juniors and seniors in high school.
Okay.
And
so
how
it's been
it was,
around for...
it's been around for, at this point, now it's been around for 7 years. So
Okay.
it had after COVID, during COVID, it was like 3 or 4 years old,
Okay.
right?
Still pretty early.
Still pretty early. So my friend gives me the job description, and says, you can do this. And my first instinct was, well, I'm not a business teacher. I mean, I don't have a business degree. Now, my husband has been an American Family agent for 30 years. So I've helped him a lot with his business, with marketing and things like that. And also, we own some rental property together and did that. And so I have that mindset. But the one thing that I do have is I know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. When you live in a community your whole life and you have 4 older sisters, you have some connections, some people. Mm-hmm. And so I did read the description and go, if anything, I think I can put people in front of these kids. And I'm not afraid to cold call people. I'm not afraid to email people. The worst they can say is no. And usually when you ask people if they want to be involved with helping kids determine their career path or learn about business and entrepreneurship, I have to tell you, in this community, no one has said no to me. And it's really awesome.
I would assume that if they do say no, they say no, but I do know somebody that you can talk to.
Always. Yeah. But everyone has been so gracious and generous and volunteered their time for our kids. And it's really phenomenal. When you look back, this is my 3rd year in the program as the instructor, and I've met so many people, and I've used some of my own connections, but then those connections have led to new connections. Mm-hmm. It all kind of snowballs. Your networking circle really just gets larger and larger. And meeting all of these people and seeing the heart that they have to help kids has been so rewarding and really amazing.
Yeah, I think anyone who has spent some time in the community, volunteering in the community as well, there's just something about the Raytown community putting its arms around its own, but especially helping to this next generation of Raytown residents, hopefully. Yeah. Kids coming through the school district, and there's no lack of support.
No lack of support. I agree with that 100%.
And if anything, we just need to continue finding opportunities to meet each other, right?
Definitely.
As you said, sometimes coming out of during COVID and coming out of COVID, we're still getting used to getting back at seeing each other in person and doing things like that, and getting used to going to some meeting, opportunities.
For sure.
So the chamber always has opportunity for members and the community to really come together. I always think of the chamber, any chamber really, as kind of like the gatherer of the community. For sure. They can pull together all different aspects. And so when I think about Southland Caps, I have to assume there's some chamber members that are engaged, for sure. But there's also probably some folks that might also need to learn a little bit more, so they can reach out to you, Jeff, just to get engaged.
Absolutely.
So tell us about Southland Caps. What has been some successes in recent years, and how are students kind of moving through that program?
Okay, so Southland Caps stands for the Center for Applied Professional Studies. So the program itself has 5 pillars, and those pillars are guest speakers, site visits, an internship component, teaching students professionalism, and getting them involved in client-connected projects. So my role as their instructor is to make sure that they've got those 5 touches as a CAPS program. At Herndon Career Center, our CAPS program is called Business Innovation and Creation. So in the program, I have students who come from the Raytown School District, of course. So they come from Raytown High and Raytown South. I also have students that come from Lee Summit, Grandview, Center, Hickman Mills School District, and those are descending schools that can come to Herndon. Our course is 2.5 hours a day, and I have 2 sections. So I have a morning section and an afternoon section. And the whole goal of the course is to make sure the students do have opportunities to learn about business via real world learning. So everything I'm doing is not in a textbook. I'm trying to put them in front of business owners, or take them on site to visit business owners so that they can learn about entrepreneurship and business in that manner. And I also like to add the career aspect, because it really is kind of a career-based course as well, because students are seeing different careers in action. They're learning about the things that they're interested in, but they're also learning about things that they may not want to do. So it's pretty
that opportunity
great.
to just say, I thought I wanted to do that.
Yeah, and now
But
I'm
perhaps
saying
not.
no. So we spend the entire first semester really focusing on professionalism. The kids do a digital portfolio, resumes, they do LinkedIn profiles. We do all of our site visits and guest speakers and client connected projects in the first semester. So we are moving and shaking. So I have a 9-passenger van that I have access to, and kids can drive. This week we're going on 2 site visits,
Oh, great.
one tomorrow, one Friday. So our weeks from the first day of school in August until winter break starts, we average 1 to 2 events a week, either a guest speaker or a site visit. Sometimes we have multiple site visits in a week. Sometimes we have multiple guest speakers in a week. So I counted the touches that the kids will have with different careers and guest speakers by December 20th, which is the day before we go to winter break. And it will be about 50 to 55 different business owners, businesses that they will have come across via guest speakers, site visits, chamber opportunities, networking opportunities.
Yeah.
So
You had
it's
mentioned
great.
that you brought them by a
Yes.
morning coffee connect.
Yes. So the chamber is amazing to my program, and I am so thankful and so grateful. So every fall, my morning students go to a chamber coffee connect, and we learn about networking before we go to that event. They perfect their elevator pitch. And I tell them, you're going to introduce yourself to every person that's at that coffee connect. And that is our goal. So they, it really gets them out of their shell. Some kids are not real excited about that. And then I have other kids that just are really great at it.
Hey,
naturals.
we gotta go. Let him go to
That's
work.
right. That's right. So we do the coffee connect. We also do in the afternoon, my students do the chamber luncheon. So that one is that one is a little bit trickier, because I tell the kids, you are not sitting together. You have to spread out and find a table where at most there's 2 students, but the rest are business partners. And then you got to network. What are some things that you could ask the people at the table when you sit down? Introduce yourself. I'm from Southland Caps, Business Innovation and Creation. Here's what we do. So we really practice that. And then of course they have to eat, right? So they have to get food. They have to eat.
The art of eating while talking.
Yeah, eat and talk. So that is just really fantastic. And then
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what is their feedback after that? When they come back from like, oh my gosh, that was daunting, or you know what? I can do that. That wasn't too bad.
The feedback is really great. We do a lot of reflecting in my class after projects that we do, site visits, guest speakers, chamber events. So the reflections are always so interesting. And usually right after the chamber luncheon, we have about 30 minutes of class left. So I always say to kids first, what went well? What went well? And the feedback that I get is always, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I met this person. I met this person. They were really nice. They asked about me. They wanted to know what my interests were. It's almost like they're kind of shocked that people would take an interest in them. You know what I mean? And that communication piece, like you said, after COVID, we really have to focus on that with our kids, because we had that. They have these devices, they're in their phones all the time. And so getting them in situations where they are forced to communicate with adults is so important. And they always have really good feedback. I always then ask them, what could you have improved upon? What could have gone better? And usually those conversations are like, I could have asked more about them.
Okay.
I could have initiated conversation. I could have done XYZ to keep the conversation going if there was a lull in conversation.
What I'm hearing in some of that is like they start to see an active role. They see themselves at that table.
They do.
Maybe even start to at least conceptually get comfortable being in that room.
And when we hear that piece, you know, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy because by the end of this program, you know, they're with me for a year. I want them to get more comfortable communicating, you know, because the key in a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors is that you can communicate and that you can network and you're not afraid to reach out to people and connect with people. So I really, that's an important key aspect of our program.
I think that's wonderful. We were actually talking before we got going just about how perhaps when we were going through high school, there wasn't as much opportunity to see yourself reflected in an area of work. You kind of had to figure it out after school a bit. And so this is a great way to, you know, dip a toe in for a semester and figure out maybe manufacturing is not for me, or maybe manufacturing is my jam, and I can do that. So I think that's really great. Let's talk about on the other side of that opportunity, the opportunity for businesses and community folks to be engaged for either to be a speaker or for those touch points for site visits. You kind of talked a little bit about the site visits and the speakers. I want to hear more about the internships. Because I think that's one of the things that we probably can't offer enough of for students.
Right. So if you are anywhere near education these days, you are hearing the term real world learning. And the whole idea behind real world learning is that we are offering students opportunities to learn via real world situations. Okay. So my course, I am so blessed because I have that 2.5 hour time period. So my students, the culminating activity of this whole school year is internship.
Okay.
So we start internship the week of January 21st. So it's a couple of weeks after we return from winter break. It's in the second semester. And my students have the opportunity to do 8 hours a week of internship, non-paid. Okay. So the idea for the course is, okay, you might be interested in real estate. Now we want you to get an internship so that you can actually really see what it's like in action. And maybe you can be of some help to a business partner. Maybe they have 10 things on their list that they need to get accomplished that they can't get to. And you can be the catalyst to that as a student. You can bring some fresh creative ideas, but also the yearning to learn about their business, which means you're going to help. You want to learn and you will do what you can to help that business out. Yeah. So the internship piece is really great. We do offer what we call flex time. So the students in the spring semester come to me on Mondays and we use that time to reflect, to talk about, you know, what your experiences have been in your internship. And then Tuesday through Friday, they're on internship. And those internships are 8 hours a week. The 8 hours from Tuesday through Friday takes the place of the 8 hours that they would have been in class with me.
Okay.
So when they're interning, the first thing that they do once they get that internship is talk to the supervisor about what time frame is going to work best for you. Maybe you don't open your office until 9 a.m. And so my morning students might need flex time. They might need to intern after school in the evening. They might need to intern on Saturday and Sunday. I've had students that have interned with real estate agents and helped them with open houses, just setting things up and kind of witnessing what that's like. So it's nice because the hours are flexible. It's helpful to the supervisor, but I like to think that the students can offer help for the business owners to get things done that maybe they haven't been able to accomplish. And at the same time, learn about that specific career or business.
What makes, if you could just give a profile of what makes an ideal, not just business, but opportunity for matching with a potential student that's interested in any given. So we'll just say general industry. What makes a good opportunity to match with a business in the community?
So one of the things that I do is I have the kids sort of think about after we've done all these site visits and guest speakers and things like that, I always tell the kids, you need to be thinking when you're meeting these people, I wonder if they would offer an internship. That needs to always be kind of in the back of your mind, because if you can make a connection with that guest speaker or on that site visit and introduce yourself.
Or at a morning coffee
connect, or at that chamber luncheon, you then are the captain of your own ship, because you've got a digital portfolio and a resume, and you've learned these communication skills, and you can reach out to that person or ask them face to face, would you be interested or consider taking on a spring intern? And here's what I'm pretty good at. So we talk a lot about what the students are good at. We do the agilities, the AWP quiz with the DeBruce Foundation, and the students find out, okay, I'm good at organization, or I'm good at management, or I'm pretty great at social media marketing. They learn kind of what their strengths are in the class, and they can say, you know what, I'm really interested in this, and here's how I think I might be able to help you. That's really the goal.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there's a lot of ways for the community to get involved, and it's a little scary to say, oh yeah, I'm going to take on an intern as a business owner. And so we talk a lot with them. I meet with them or call them or Zoom with them and say, here's some things that they might be able to help you with. I'll give you some ideas, or you might have some ideas. Now, the students, I like to have them interviewed. So I ask supervisors to interview them, because, they need to know if this student's going to be a good fit for them. And if this is really something they want to do, I want them to meet the student. And then in turn, the students will learn more about what they might be doing in that internship. And they might decide, okay, I thought that that's what I wanted to do, but this may not be a good fit. And so it is an interview process for both parties, the business owner and the student, to sort of see, okay, do we really want to do that? So that's what we try to do. It's a great opportunity for kids. And I will say, this is year 3 for me. The first 2 years of my program, I'm
sorry, one moment.
Oh no, you're fine.
I was holding that back.
Okay.
This is cinematic movie magic. This never happened.
Oh, I'm sure. It's okay. We're good.
Okay. You were saying about the last 3 years.
Yes. So I have been lucky enough to place 100% of my students 2 years in a row. So in an internship. Now, there is a caveat, because, we're dealing with juniors and seniors in high school. So if they start the internship and things aren't going well, I check with my business partners once a week and say, how are they doing? Are they being professional? Are they showing up on time? Are they an asset to your team? And if we're constantly getting no's, or if they do something, inappropriate, they get fired. And then they have to come back to Herndon with me, and we kind of break that down. So it's a safe environment to fail. I was just thinking that
word. I was like, that's the safest way to get fired.
It's the safest way to fail, because you can learn from it. And I've had that happen 3 times. I've had students get fired, and it feels really, it hurts, and it feels really yucky when it happens for the student. But I always kind of flip it on its head and say, okay, what could we have done better? Let's use this as a teachable moment for your future. Yeah. And my business partners have always been so gracious. And, I remember one conversation with one business partner in particular that called me and said, okay, this happened. What are we going to do? And I'm like, well, we're going to fire him. This is a no. We're not going to.
This is a teachable moment.
Yeah, this is an absolute no. Yeah. And she was like, well, I don't really want to do that. I want to give him a second chance. And I'm like, this is one of those moments where we need to really focus on, how can we learn from this? Because you don't want to perpetuate that behavior in the future. That's
Absolutely.
not going to be okay. So
yeah, and it's certainly about building good habits.
Yes.
Now.
Build them
moving
now.
forward.
That's right.
Yeah, because I know we were talking about some like interview moments that we've
Yes.
been a part of, maybe not for ourselves, where you can see how valuable it is to
For sure.
have that opportunity
For sure.
to even just do a mock interview or
Yes.
just to do an internship moment
Yes.
or opportunity to, I don't want to say mess up, but maybe not do something right.
Right.
Or maybe I wasn't as reliable. Then we can coach our way from there.
Yes. The
Yeah.
coaching is key.
That's
So
great.
It's really great.
So, coach us on how we can get more businesses engaged. If I'm a business and this sounds interesting, and by the way, if you've made it this far in the podcast, you are
That's right.
interested. Do not kid yourself. You're interested in getting involved,
Yeah.
either as a speaker, either as hosting a site visit
Right.
to see your business operation, or either that or hosting or having an intern, or
Right.
all three. I'm not peer pressuring, but I definitely am. How can we get folks engaged?
Well, what I like to do is kind of ease people into this idea by having you be a guest speaker. And that seems a little frightening sometimes, but what I always tell my guest speakers is we don't need a formal presentation. And if it's easier for you, we'll come to your place of business. You can give us a tour and talk about the history of your business and then tell us a little bit about yourself. We do not ask for a formal presentation. The kids really want to know about you. At the end of the day, they want to know, how did you get there?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get where you are today? And if that means, describing your education path, your academic path, or even, how did you network to get where you are today? They really just want to know about you and how you did it. How did you succeed? So guest speaking is kind of the most non-threatening way, I feel like, for business partners to get involved. We also say, let's say you've got a project, something that you want us to research for you. The kids put together a presentation, they present to you, and then you can kind of critique their findings and say, okay, you did a really good job at this. This is an idea I might use for my business, but here's some things where you kind of missed the mark. So we were able to do a client connected project my first year with Raytown Wellness, which was amazing, working with Michael and Jose. And they had the kids do data analysis. They had them analyze different age groups of customers at Raytown Wellness, and then had them come up with ideas for how can we target this specific age group and get them in the door. So what can we do? What kind of events and things can we do to get specific age groups into the wellness center and have them become members? So that's an example of a client connected project that's really awesome that the kids are involved in. And then, of course, site visits. We'll come to you. We'll make it easy. You can stay right there, and we'll come visit you. Stay in your place of business, and then internships. So if you're willing to take that leap, or you do need some help, you need some extra help, and you could use some fresh ideas from a young student, having an intern is a great way to do that. So you can always contact me via email.
What is your email?
So it is ellie.lilly@raytownschools.org. Excuse me. So it's ELLIE.LILLY @raytownschools.org. And if you can't remember that, go to the Herndon Career Center website and find the programs tab, look for Southland CAPS, and you can find business, and you will get in touch with me.
Wonderful.
You can also call Herndon
Yeah.
and say, I want to talk to Mrs. Lilly.
Hey, I was listening to Talk Raytown, and
Yes.
I need to talk to Mrs. Lilly.
That's right. That's right.
I love that. Is there an opportunity, anything coming up that you would like to plug for the program?
Yes. So we've talked a lot about communication, and we've talked a lot about how students really need to practice that. So last year, my students planned a networking event, and we called it a speed networking event, and we planned it at Herndon last year. And the students reached out to business partners, business owners of businesses that they were interested in learning more about. And they invited them to our space at Herndon to do a speed networking event where in 5-minute increments, the students would rotate through the business partners and learn about their career path, ask them questions about their business, how they made it, what were the pitfalls, what were the great things that have happened. And then we fed them some snacks. So it was such a fantastic event, and we have a super great connection with UMKC Block School of Management. And this year, on November 12th, Tuesday, November 12th, from 11:45 to 1 o'clock, they have agreed to let us do our networking event there.
Oh, wonderful.
So if you are interested in being a part of that, you can reach out to me and I will send you a calendar invite with all of the details of the event. But again, it's a non-threatening environment. You don't have to have a presentation. The kids are going to ask you questions about you. And it's just a really great program.
That sounds wonderful. Now you said earlier that, or you just said that perhaps maybe so not threatening, but I don't know. The high schoolers, they can have some good questions that make you just question your decisions leading up to that moment. But I know that it's also an opportunity to get a little bit of inspiration too. Right? Oh,
for sure. You'll be inspired by the kids. And UMKC is offering our business partners lunch. Wonderful. So you have an option of coming at 10:45 and getting a free lunch, and then the networking event starts at 11:45. So if you're willing to take a little larger chunk out of your day and have lunch with the kids, you can do that as well. So it's a fun event. We got great feedback from our business partners last year that came to the networking event, and we try to choose people who have not been guest speakers in our class yet. Good. So they're brand new. And the students do the research. They invite the business partners that they're interested in learning about, which is also a really awesome opportunity for diversity and inclusion. You know, they want to see themselves in the business owners, and that's what they look for, and that's what they shoot for. And then they type a professional email with all of the information. They send that email out. Sometimes we do a phone script and have them call. And it's just a really great event for them to learn that communication piece, but then also they're getting more networking opportunities, more of a wide range of careers to learn about. And it's just a lot of fun. So I'm excited for that.
That sounds like a much better opportunity than opening up an old textbook and reading what business does.
Yeah, so we don't do that.
We don't do that. We are more active. I love it. Thank you so much for joining Talk Raytown. It's been a joy kind of talking with you and seeing the passion that you have.
I do. Yes,
it comes through.
Thank you.
And I know that the students are all the better for it. Like I said, I know in an early episode of Talk Raytown, we talked about some successes from the Herndon Center from another part of the program, and so very excited to see the futures that these students will have and really what they're already doing now.
Yeah, so, it's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for me, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And you're a great person to talk to maybe find a few extra folks with these listeners here to come in and get engaged. Yes. So this is my final pitch, because after we close this episode, I'm going to ask how I can get engaged. And would love to have some chamber members, any listeners to the podcast today, to reach out to Mrs. Lily Hill here and see how you can help. But before we go, for those watching the video, if you're listening to the podcast, the Raytown Chamber does have this nice, beautiful scarf that just came in. They smell brand new. And these scarves are really getting ready for the 2026 World Cup coming to town. There's going to be folks all over town and here in Raytown. And so if you don't know, now you know. These are $35. You can find them soon. They're not on there yet, but soon they will be on the Raytown Chamber website where you can get yours. Everyone's going to be wearing them.
Nice.
I was told that this was mine, but I have to leave it on set. I don't know how that works, but I'll be right here next episode of Talk Raytown with this scarf, and I hope to see you there. Take care.